when you think about being culturally responsive, you have to ensure that your teaching staff understands the concepts and they are able to validate, affirm, and build and bridge students' identities and their cultural heritage and weave it into their school experiences. No one wants to go through life, particularly through 12 or 13 years of school, as an invisible person, where they never see themselves in the curriculum. They do not feel a part of your environmental ecosystem in your schools. When they look around the schools, they see no image or any realia that reflects who they are. So that is what I believe culturally responsive practices mean in terms of classroom instruction.
Most of the districts that I've been in or worked with don't recognize when they became urban. They're not sure of that point when they became an urban district. And because of that, they lose touch.
I think ultimately it all begins with awareness, knowing that there are multilingual learners in your classroom who may require translation tools, or staff or students that may have hearing impairments and require the captions when you're presenting, and having that solid beginning, recognize the need, and it also demonstrates that you have a willingness to adapt.
When we're talking about, again, if excellence is possible, how do we provide equitable access to it? I don't want to pin it to the technology, because it's not about the tool. The tool's important, but the tool is nothing if it's not in the right hands with someone who can use it effectively, who can use it to the best of their ability. I had a conversation with a teacher once, and it was in a different district, and the teacher reminded me that they've been teaching for 29 years. They knew what they were doing. And so I said, well, you're using a lesson plan that's 10 years old. And they said, well, actually, this is the original lesson plan I started with. And so I said, so you essentially taught the same year over and over again for 29 years.
Tools such as Flipgrid, I think, give us an opportunity to think beyond the traditional forms of, language arts, for example, when you can have students journal using Flipgrid, their experiences via a video. I believe that it is a very visual but also very engaging and fun way to tell your story, beyond the traditional journals and writing. And it also taps into this element of creativity.
Flipgrid is tapped into organizations already that provide those resources and tools that are available, or even a platform like Minecraft has lessons built into the tool itself that addresses the historic struggles of sometimes marginalized communities. You can go ahead and study out the history of the Lenape in Minecraft in a lesson that already exists. You can go ahead and head into Flipgrid and connect with people around the world in these live meetings that they have, or just use the pre-made lessons on important equity topics made by cultural organizations across the country.
It's the advent of technology, and if we can step aside from being instructors, step aside from being the smartest person in the room, and allow facilitation of education to occur, now you can step the level up. Now next year actually becomes an extension of what you've already done last year. And a year after that becomes an extension of the previous 2 years. And now when you get to 29 years of education, you can look at a 29-year pathway of excellence that has been created on this journey to creating equity.
There's a lot that we have learned about cultural competency and being culturally proficient. But to say we know and we see culture is just the start. The next task is for us to incorporate them within our curriculum and our instructional practices. Differentiating instruction is a way of giving students both choice and voice. When we think about the 21st century skills that Tony Wagner did so much research on, Part of that is being able to give students and to motivate them to have their own voice. But if we have just one way of doing things, we will never be able to see the beauty and the real potential that students have to offer. We'll never know who's the real entrepreneur in the room or what interests they have, because there's only one way. And then students become disenfranchised because what if I don't fit into that one way? I think that you will have a greater chance of not only reaching students, but keeping them engaged, keeping them involved when you're able to differentiate how they are assessed and then how they learn and how they can show their own knowledge.